Hey guys, in this video we're explaining about what is life cycle costing. Traditional management accounting control procedures have focused primarily on the manufacturing stage of a product's life cycle. Pre-manufacturing costs such as research and development and design and post-manufacturing abandonment and disposal costs are treated as period costs. Therefore, they are not incorporated in the product cost calculations, nor are they subject to the conventional management accounting control procedures. Life cycle costing estimates and accumulates costs over a product's entire life cycle in order to determine whether the profits earned during the manufacturing phase will cover the costs incurred during the pre- and post-manufacturing stages. What is the advantages of life cycle costing? There are a few advantages of life cycle costing. Firstly, identifying the costs incurred during the different stages of the product's life cycle provides an insight into understanding and managing the total costs incurred throughout its life cycle. In particular, life cycle costing helps management to understand the cost consequences of developing and making a product and to identify areas in which cost reduction efforts are likely to be most effective. Figure 21.1 illustrates a typical pattern of cost commitment and cost incurrence during the three stages of a product's life cycle, which are the planning and design stage, the manufacturing stage, and the service and abandonment stage. Committed or locked-in costs are those costs that have not been incurred but that will be incurred in the future on the basis of decisions that have already been made. Costs are incurred when a resource is used or sacrificed. Costing systems record costs only when they have been incurred. It is difficult to significantly alter costs after they have been committed. For example, the product design specifications determine a product's material and labor inputs and the production process. At this stage, costs become committed and broadly determine the future costs that will be incurred during the manufacturing stage. Based on figure 21.1, the upper cost curve shows the costs that are committed, which is the brown curve, while the lower curve, which is the blue curve, shows the costs that are incurred. The graph shows the wide divergence between the time when the costs are committed and the time when they are incurred. In contrast, the majority of costs are incurred at the manufacturing stage, but they have already become locked in at the planning and design stage and are difficult to change. Figure 21.1 shows that approximately 80% of the product's costs are committed during the planning and design stage. At this stage, product designers determine the product's design and the production process. It is obvious from figure 21.1 that cost management can be most effectively exercised during the planning and design stage and not at the manufacturing stage when the product design and process have already been determined and costs have been committed. At manufacturing stage, it focuses more on cost containment and cost management. An understanding of life cycle costs and how they are committed and incurred at different stages throughout a product's life cycle led to the emergence of target costing, a technique that focuses on managing costs during the product's planning and design phase. After watching previous video, now we can solve questions using the knowledge. What is the factors that need to be managed in order to maximize the product's return over the life cycle? The first factor is to design cost out of the product. It was stated earlier that around 80% of the product's costs were often incurred at the design and development stages of its life. Decisions made then commit the organization to incurring the cost at the later date because the design of the product determines the production method and the number of components. It is absolutely important so that design teams do not work in isolation but as part of a cross-functional team in order to minimize costs over the whole life cycle. The value engineering helps here. For example, Russian liquid-fuel rocket motors are intentionally designed to allow leak-free welding. It reduces costs by eliminating grinding and finishing operations. Next is to minimize the time to market. In a world where competitors watch each other keenly to see what new products will be launched, it is vital to get any new product into the marketplace as quickly as possible. The competitors will monitor each other closely so that they can launch rival products as soon as possible in order to maintain profitability. It is important so the first organization to launch its product as quickly as possible after the concept has been developed so that it has as long as possible to establish the product in the market and to make a profit before competition increases. Often it is not so much cost that reduce profits as time wasted. Lastly is to maximize the length of the life cycle itself. Generally, the longer the life cycle, the greater the profit that will be generated, assuming that production ceases once the product goes into decline and becomes unprofitable. One way to maximize the life cycle is to get the product to market as quickly as possible because this should maximize the time in which the product generates a profit. Another way of extending a product's life cycle is to find other users or markets for the product. Other product users may not be obvious when the product is still in its planning stage and need to be planned and managed later on. On the other hand, it may be possible to plan for a staggered entry into different markets at the planning stage. Many organizations stagger the launch of their products in different world markets in order to reduce costs, increase revenue, and prolong the overall life of the product. A current example is the way in which new films are released in the USA months before the UK launch. This is done to build up the enthusiasm for the film and to increase revenues overall. Other companies may not have the funds to launch worldwide at the same moment and may be forced to stagger it. Skimming the market is another way to prolong life and to maximize the revenue over a product's life. What is the difference between product life cycle and life cycle costing? The product life cycle is the period which begins with the initial product specification and ends with the withdrawal from the market of both the product and its support. It is characterized by defined stages including research, development, introduction, growth, maturity, decline, and abandonment. Life cycle costing is the profiling of costs over the life of a product, including the pre-production stage. Unlike traditional management accounting systems, which are based on financial years, life cycle costing tracks and accumulates the costs and revenues attributable to the product over the full life cycle, which may last for many years. Life cycle costing can also be applied to services, customers, and projects. Thanks for watching and hope now you understand better about life cycle costing.